So, good morning. So I reckon one of the most common master's oral questions I see coming up in the notes is the procedure for taking over as a master. And there's quite a lot in this, I think, but I thought we would just go through everything I can think of that we might need to do when we are taking over a ship as a master. As always, please feel free in the comments to disagree or add anything that I've said. Before going to the vessel, would expect you to have a briefing with the company where important information, including the company's expectations, can be covered. You would look at the ship's particulars. Ideally, you'd have access to the SMS, particularly if it is a new company or company that's new to you. You'd want to understand the upcoming voyage plans and the charterer's expectations, particularly with regard to the cargo that's being carried, if it's a cargo ship. Any current operational issues in the company or with the ship. You can meet the DPA and the CSO and see any handover notes provided from the outgoing master. And of course, before reaching the ship, you would have the opportunity to review and then sign your Seafarers Employment Agreement, SEA, which must be signed by yourself and by the company and by your employer if that's different to the company. So it could have 3 signatures on it. Once arriving at the ship, I think that's a good chance to get a general impression of the vessel as you walk along the quayside. Chance to see the condition of the hull, any paint, rust, damage, dents, the condition of the draft and the load line marks and their visibility. Obviously making no assumptions at this time about the state of the vessel. Maybe they've just come off a long and arduous sea passage, which would mean the hull wouldn't be in such good condition, awaiting a wash and a paint. And if there are any dents, they may well have been reported and be well in hand. You can review the means of the safe access, the gangway or accommodation ladder, which you will be climbing. And at the top, the gangway security, including that the ISPS security level is posted. Walking through the ship, you can have a casual check of any equipment and operations you pass. That might be FFE or LSA. It might be the conduct of the crew in their duties, especially their cargo duties, and the condition of any equipment, particularly cargo equipment and pipelines. When you're meeting with the outgoing master, I'd expect you to receive the same safety and security familiarisation per ISM STCW that every other crew member would have, either from the outgoing master or perhaps another officer. And then on to the key master stuff, reviewing certificates and understanding if there's any required or upcoming surveys and audits. Firstly, you want to confirm if the vessel is on ACS, Alternative Compliance Scheme, or EAS, Enhanced Authorization Scheme. We have a video about that as well, because that would be important to understand who issues the certificates and who carries out surveys. If they are on one of those schemes, you'd have a certificate of inspection if it was ACS, or a letter of notification for EAS. You'd want to see the safety construction, safety radio and safety equipment certificates, which may be combined into the cargo ship's safety certificate, or in fact a passenger ship safety certificate if that is the type of ship you're on. Attached or close by to those, you may have a DG DOC, which is normally with the same validity as the PSSC or the safety equipment certificate. You'd want to see the copy of the company ISM DOC and the vessel's safety management certificate. You'd want to see the International Ship Security Certificate and the accompanying CSR. You want to see the safe manning document issued by Flag, certificate of fitness for gas or chemical, or a DOA for grain. MARPL certificates including IOPP, ISPP, IAPP and perhaps the engine IAPP certificates, as well as these days the IEEC certificate. MLC, you'd expect to see the MLC certificate, DMLC Part 1 and critically Part 2. which outlines the actions or the processes in place on the ship to comply with the Part 1. If you're classed, which you very likely are, you'll have a class certificate and the class status report, which might be online, and critically that may show conditions of class, so that might be where you then catch up with some of that damage you saw on the outside of the vessel. You'd want to see P&I certificates as well as flag endorsements for the P&I certificates on wreck removal, bunker fuel, MLC repatriation and MLC injury or death. Have a load line certificate and a ballast water convention certificate. Tonnage and perhaps Suez and Panama tonnage certificates, a registry certificate and an anti-fouling certificate. There may be more. Let me know if you think I missed something. A lot of those certificates require associated plans, and you'd want to know where those are. Critically, ship security plan, which you may well be the only person having access to on board, but also garbage management plan, ballast water management plan, SOPEP, and the cargo securing manual would be highlights there. You'd want to know where the manuals for the bridge equipment are and where the official logbook and the oily record books are, and you would probably want to review those, particularly the oil record book, to make sure that that is up to date and suitably endorsed. You want to know the crew certificates were in good order and where they're stored, particularly for watch keepers, both upstairs and down. Crew medical certificates, if they're handled separately, and any medical records kept confidentially. And crew hours of rest records, as well as the posted statement of regular hours of work. You'd probably have a discussion with the outgoing master about the crew and any concerns or particular highlights, as well as any outstanding or recent MLC complaints or issues. You'd want to see a record of recent surveys and inspections with any outstanding non-conformities or observations, and any CAPs, action plans, in progress to resolve either those NCs or others. You'd particularly want to see port state control and flag state inspections and the dates of expected next inspections, because remember, you have to notify port state control if you believe you are due for an inspection, particularly under Paris MOU. You're likely to hand over controlled items, including cash, narcotics, passwords, keys, including the Biennoise key, and soundings of remains on board, especially fuel. You want to understand the cargo status, any concerns, and the estimated time of departure. And then in your own time, you'd probably review the stability information, loading plan, damage control plan. You'd want to understand the status of the engines, best speak to the chief engineer, and other critical equipment, as well as the deck equipment and their corresponding PMS status, including any deficiencies, problems or opportunities with spares, and any plan changes to the SMS or PMS. You'd want to satisfy yourself that food and water was sufficient and in good order, and then prior to departure you'd undergo a bridge familiarisation with one of the deck watch keepers and understand the bridge navigation and radio equipment status and the upcoming passage plan. And finally, you'd want to understand the training and drills that are required and any that are planned, and the planned safety meetings. So that's about all I can think of. A little short video today. I hope that's been interesting. As always, please do let me know in the comments if there's any other topics or anything in there you'd like me to expand on in the future. Thank you.